Good evening to all. Today we'll have an interesting topic discussion. The topic is role of merchant banker. So in the syllabus, if you see, you'll learn about introduction to merchant banking in India, the recent developments and challenges ahead, the merchant banking services offered by banks, the non-banking financial companies offering merchant banking, the legal and regulatory framework, the relevant provisions of Companies Act and Securities and Exchange Board of India guidelines. So now we'll move on to the topic role of merchant banker. So if you see the role of merchant bankers, there are a number of roles like mobilization of fund, promotional function, financial services, brokers in stock exchanges, innovations, revival of SIC units, market makers, handling government consent for industrial projects, corporate restructuring and so on. So how do we plan about mobilizing of fund, then how to promote the functions, then what are the financial services we have to offer, then how the brokers will be engaged in the stock exchanges, what are the recent innovations we are planning ahead in the industry, then how can we revive the SIC units. Continuously, if you see, for 7 years, if a unit seems to be sick, they are making loss, then they are declared as SIC unit. How to revive those SIC units, then what are the market makers, who will be the market makers, then how are we planning to go or handle the government consent for industrial projects, how do we plan for the corporate restructuring. All this will be decided in the role of merchant bankers. So in the role of merchant bankers, I'll repeat it once again. We go about seeing the mobilization of fund, promotional function, financial services, the brokers in stock exchanges, innovations, revival of SIC units, market makers, handling government consent for industrial projects and corporate restructuring. Now we'll discuss about the difference between commercial banking and merchant banking. So commercial banking, you see, it is a traditional bank. So commercial banking, it can be defined as banking establishment which will provide the basic banking functions to the general public, like lending of the money and accepting the deposit. So their main role is they lend money from whatever deposits they have received from the clients or customers. So commercial bank's main role will be actually they collect the deposit from the customers or clients and they lend the money for interest. That is how they earn income. Now let us see the functioning of merchant banking. Merchant banking can be defined as a financial institution which provides a wide range of financial services to clients with high net worth and multinational corporations, and they generally have a specialization in international trade. So they provide wide range of financial services to their clients with high net worth. They provide to the multinational corporations, and they generally have a specialization in the international trade. Now we'll see the accessibility of commercial banking and merchant banking. In case of commercial banking, it is accessible generally to any of the people who are having basic banking needs. So who are all having basic banking needs, they will be accessed in the commercial banking. In case of merchant banking, it is accessible mainly to large companies or wealthy individuals. So wealthy individuals and large companies, they will be accessing through the merchant banking. The next aspect or the difference or distinction between the commercial banking and merchant banking is earnings. In case of earnings, the primary earnings of the commercial banks are in the form of interest received on various loans issued in addition to it. So other earnings, it includes fees received on various services like ATM, checking account and so on. So once again, if you see, the primary earnings of commercial banks are in the form of interest received on various loans issued. In addition to it, other earnings include fees received on various services like ATM and checking accounts and so on. In case of merchant banking, the primary earning in case of the merchant banking is through fees that are paid for the advisory services that are given by them. So they collect the fees amount for the advisory services, and through that is a major earnings for merchant banking. The next difference between the commercial banking and merchant banking is economic effect. Now we'll discuss about the economic effect of how the role is played in case of commercial banking and merchant banking. In case of commercial banking, the main impact of commercial banking in the case of economy of the local area where it provides the services. In case of merchant banking, the main impact of merchant banking is on large corporations. So to whom it is providing the services, thereby the impact process in the stock market and national economy. So they provide services to the stock market and to the national economy. The next difference is actually risk exposure. So what kind of risk exposure we can have in commercial banking and in merchant banking? So the risk exposure is less when compared with the merchant banking in case of commercial banking, and the risk exposure is more when compared with commercial banking in case of merchant banking. So the risk exposure will be more in case of merchant banking, and the risk exposure will be less in case of commercial banking. The next difference is the nature of the loan extended. In case of nature of the loan extended, in case of commercial banks, the nature of the loan given by the commercial bank is more debt related, whereas in case of merchant banking, nature of the loan given by the merchant bank is more equity related. So debt related, you know about the debt and equity part, isn't it? So debt equity ratio, actually it has to be 2:1 in a company. It means for every 1 rupee of equity capital, the company has to raise 2 rupee of debenture capital, because debenture is a cheaper source of finance in case of companies, whereas the equity capital is not a cheaper source of finance. It is a costly finance affair. So the commercial banking, they are dealing with the debt related fund, and merchant banking, they are dealing with the equity related fund. Now the next difference is role. In case of role, the commercial banks, they play the role as a financier, whereas the merchant bankers, they play the role as a financial advisor. So their role will be financial advisor, and commercial banks' role will be like a financier. Now let us discuss about the non-banking financial companies. So non-banking financial companies stands for non-banking financial corporations. As per section 451 subsection C of the Reserve Bank of India Act, a non-banking company that carries the business of a financial institution is called a non-banking financial corporation. So here the different non-banking financial corporations are Bajaj Finserv, PFC, Mahindra, Shriram Finance and Muthoot Finance. These are the different non-banking financial companies we come across, like Bajaj Finserv, Mahindra, Shriram Finance, Muthoot Finance and PFC. So now let us see what is meant by non-banking financial companies. And the non-banking financial corporations is a company that is registered under the Companies Act 1956 in the lending business, the hire purchase, leasing, insurance business, receiving deposits in some cases, chit funds, stock and share acquisition happens here. Now let us discuss about the different types of non-banking financial corporations. So the non-banking financial corporations can be categorized under two broad heads, namely on the nature of their activity and on the basis of deposits. On the nature of activity and on the basis of deposits, we can classify them. On the nature of activity, if you see, we can have asset finance company, loan company, mortgage guarantee company, investment company, core investment company, infrastructure finance company, microfinance company and housing finance company. And on the basis of deposits, we can say deposits accepting non-banking financial corporations and non-deposit accepting non-banking financial corporations. Thank you. If you have any doubts, we can clarify here. Otherwise, we'll wind up the session. So in today's class, we have discussed about the role of merchant bankers. What is the role of merchant banker, and what is the difference between commercial banking functions and merchant banking functions. Then we have discussed about non-banking financial corporations and the types of non-banking financial corporations. With this, we'll wind up the session. Thank you.